Hey guys, welcome back to From the Devs. Well, it's been a long journey. This is video part 4 of vehicle showcases of stuff I made in the last year or so, even though actually some of these have not been made in the last year, but I did upgrade them. So today's scene will be Mechs. So here you can see this is Austere Piety class, light mech. It's designed. Well, the inspiration is one of those Zaku mobile suits from Gundam. You can see it's got a hoverboard, which is deployed from. They're meant to be the lighter units, almost kind of disposable. They fight in a group. Uh, and this one is just over 100,000 materials, but there's a few different variants, and the base model is around 70,000 materials. And it's got 40 firepower, so it's decently okay, but given that it's got a humanoid shape, the components are laid out with more of a redundancy approach rather than um, just being able to take a lot of damage in one spot. And the core is quite vulnerable. The AI is right in the front there. Unfortunately, it's quite vulnerable to EMP damage, which means I had to put the AI on a spin block, which can be considered slightly cheaty. And most of what this unit does is to take down similarly sized helicopters or fighter jets. It's got lasers, particle cannons. It's got a shield. I deco modeled the hands a bit, which I haven't done for the other ones. And then the hoverboard provides electricity generation for the particle beams. So let's have a look at its combat abilities. Right, here we go. We'll spawn a Steel Strider Harpy Squadron, which is squadron of helicopters. Hmm. So the shield does a decent job of blocking a lot of those shots and EMP as well. Uh, and of course, it's very characteristic for the particle cannons to be good at destroying these helicopters. Although it's got its rotor destroyed and it's still very airworthy. That's pretty funny. And yeah, we have plenty of missile defenses here in the legs. Oh, and that was a heat missile. Man, these things are built tough. Oh, that's a nice hit. And yeah, outside of the battle, the hoverboard carries some repair ability to repair the mech itself. And then I can quickly show you one other variant of uh, this type, the Austere Piety class, light mech. Okay, this is a melee unit. As you can see, it's got two spears and two nuclear tip spears and a melee spear. It doesn't have the same large backpack as the elite anti-air version, just because it doesn't need to fuel those particle cannons. It just moves up to the enemy. All right, so what it does is there's two ACVs that detect the presence of the nuclear tips on top of the spear and feeds the computation into a breadboard. The breadboard then knows if there's one spear, it will deploy that first, and only when that one has been detonated, it will deploy the second one. The nukes will detach from a separator and detonate that way so that it can be repaired, and only after both nukes have been deployed, it will engage with its trident weapon. So yeah, has the same reliability issues as any other melee unit, but when it works decently well. Okay, now next we got our absent humility class, heavy fighter or variable fighter. Um, and let's have a look. It costs 100,000 materials, have 76 firepower. Most of that is in missiles, and it's got some particle cannons. And it looks like there's barely any armor cost to this. Again, it's got a redundancy-based design, having key components spread out everywhere, but uh, it functions as a fighter most of the times, and then it relies a lot on these missile defenses. So, um, yeah, most of the time it relies on agility and swarm tactics, and against larger units, it functions as part of a fleet or does hit and run. So it's another kind of light unit killer, and it works against swarms. It has some large missiles that can um, do a bit of damage against some of the weaker ships. For example, Deepwater Guard or Honest Watch stuff. Let's have a look. Okay, let's have a look at this one transform. So now it's airplane mode. Most of the engine power in the jets in the legs will be transformed into providing thrust. It's able to attain a higher forward speed in this mode. And then if it's facing small targets in close proximity, then it can transform into point and maintain distance mode, and then these jets will be converted to regenerating power or energy for the particle cannons, which is what I use for anti-air. And then these tiny little guns on the side, yeah, they're pretty small. They're used for point defense, just shooting down missiles and such. Well, that was really embarrassing. Let's try this again. So I was trying to do a combat demo, and the craft kept turning to the right for some reason, and I realized there's a debug line to try to see if I can hook up some of the evasion channels to make it go to the right, and I just never deleted it. I don't know I could have thought that the same would even function, um, because there's a debug code that would just make it fly to the right for no reason at all. But finally, I found it. I deleted the line, so now it's somewhat working. At least better than before for something that look like this. Yeah, turn off God mode. So you can see it's just firing its particle cannons at any small enemy that can kind of vaporize them quite easily, and then it's firing its large missiles against the large target. And the Sea-Wiz is kind of able to take out some of these smaller missiles. Yeah, I put the least important components on the arms just because they're most likely to get shot off. Um, we don't really need that Sea-Wiz. Or do we? It's pretty fun. We got Macross Stout playing, and it does the Macross Missile Massacre. Pew. So I've seen some other people make some pretty nice variable fighters as well. Um, their their craft are much more maneuverable because they use a lot of spin clipping, a lot of deco hiding as well, which like performance-wise in terms of maneuverability, I really like their flight model, but which my flight model just being as big and heavy as it is, isn't as good, but it does have multiple combat function and can perform decently well as a fighter bomber against some of the smaller ships, which the other Macross designs would not just been like 1/3 of the cost. They don't really have any viable anti-ship weapons in that category. So it's a bit of a trade-off. My craft, it has, just given the shape, we have the AI mounted on spin block. But otherwise, we have a bit of clipping on the joints, but no, not a lot of clipping outside of that. Um, the other transformers, they do um, have extensive clipping to fit everything into that volume of space that they're able to work with. These particle cannons switch between impact and EMP, so against smaller units, um, EMP would just kill them instantly, but in case they do have good EMP protection, then the impact can also vaporize them. There's only one or two repair bots, just given that cost. Um, I feel like it's pretty fair. For something like this in the campaign, um, I would use this craft mainly in a defensive role against any small units that um, try to come attack me. I would deploy them in different defensive zones without having to move or recall my heavier offensive units. Okay, finally here we have the Abject Majesty class heavy mech. Um, it's basically inspired by the Providence Gundam from Gundam Seed Destiny. Doesn't quite look like that, but function-wise, that's what it does. And the concept, let's have a look at the cost, is almost 600,000 materials, and it has 300 firepower on the main body, split between torpedoes and its piercing laser, and then it's got six of these particle cannons, which they basically attempt to pierce the enemy from every side, targeting hot blocks. If it's a ship, the torpedoes will get the ship. If it's an airship, um, hopefully over time, these piercing particle cannons will be able to knock out their flight model and render them, um, well, turn airships into submarines, basically. So that's kind of how this is supposed to work. Um, it heavily uses clipping to fit all the components it needs into this frame, which is lots of surface area and not a lot of volume. Inside here, there's jets, there's material storage, there's energy generation, lots of missile defenses, lasers. It's got a shield on a tractor beam. I mean, given how complex this design is, the function is pretty simple, and also it doesn't really transform compared to the last one. So I suppose it could be considered slightly more straightforward. It was a bit challenging to build without the clipping. I'm not used to building clip units, and certainly it's kind of hard countered by what would you call it? Piercing type weapons that can just go through all the clip stacked layers. I think for the piercing charge laser here, I got the whole laser spread out over probably like six sub objects. So that was those things are a bit rough to build. Um, and it's basically a front sider. It's pretty simple in that regard too. The shield attempts to block most of the hits, and then the legs move slightly. Um, and got lots of lamps too. Just don't have a lot of armor, so put everything to active defenses. Ooh, are we actually doing some damage with our little heat missiles? Yeah, so this Strauss-on is kind of in a similar cost category, but it's pretty much hard shut down when you have enough missile defense. Where's our torpedoes? It appears they have been launched, um, and they're going. Yeah, we have shut down some of these guns already, which is quite good. I don't know where our torpedoes are. It looks like some of them have made some impact. The torpedoes are more for use against airships once these piercing particle cannons are able to kind of knock out their flight systems. Um, and they're flying very erratically right now. They're all at full house. Yeah, These drones flight models aren't the best. Certainly distracting for the enemy's guns, but when I see some torpedoes coming in, woof! I mean, that's a ammo detonation right there. All right, let's see how these drones do against an airship. Hopefully, they're able to perform a little bit better. Oh yeah, so there's a laser in the face of the mech as well. It's only for defensive use, so most of the time I just forget about it. So yeah, you can see torpedoes are being an airship is the best defense against torpedoes, but torpedoes are also the best weapons against airships. Yeah, these drones have very bad stability, good thing they're able to hit. So yeah, there you go. That's Abject Majesty mech. Um, and that's kind of all my mechs that I have right now. So thank you guys for watching. I'll see you in the next episode.